The Madrid Open, a tournament defined by high altitude, a low bounce, and even lower expectations for the Russian tennis star Daniil Medvedev. Known for being one of 3 Masters tournaments played on clay, a surface Medvedev has very passionately announced his hatred of, Madrid is perhaps the most unlikely setting for the Russian hardcourt specialist to thrive. And yet, this is not just any Medvedev, but this is the beginning of the return of Clayvedev, a man reborn, red-dusted, and ready to slide reluctantly into greatness. Once nothing but a punchline during the clay season, Medvedev now finds himself not only competing, but contending on the surface, with him now having successfully fought his way into 2 consecutive quarterfinals at the Madrid Open. But tennis arbiter, Medvedev doesn't stand a chance. He can't even win a hardcourt tournament. How am I supposed to believe he's going to win on clay? And to that, I respond with this. Destiny has a sense of humor. Daniil Medvedev, once the self-proclaimed clay court skeptic, is now the last remaining clay court Masters 1000 champion in the Madrid Open draw. With the early exits of former champions of the tournament, the likes of Sasha Zverev, Andrei Rublev, and Novak Djokovic, the way has been cleared for the Russians' path to glory. And here's the kicker. Medvedev's last tour-level title? The 2023 Italian Open in Rome, a clay court Masters 1000 tournament. Coincidence? Probably, but his outlook gets even better when you look at Medvedev's probable lineup for the rest of the tournament. Medvedev will be facing Casper Ruud in the quarterfinals, a capable opponent who is arguably far better suited to the surface than Medvedev himself. But nevertheless, Medvedev leads their head-to-head 3 wins to 0, having beaten the Norwegian in straight sets every time that they've met. But you might say, oh, tennis arbiter, but they haven't played each other in 4 years. And to that I say, that's a really good point. But Medvedev has the added advantage of having been gifted with a walkover in his first round of the tournament, putting him in a far better position compared to his opponents when it comes to fatigue. Medvedev is the 3rd highest seed remaining in the draw, with only Jack Draper and Alex de Minaur leading him in the rankings. But even this is bound to work in the Russians' favor, since both Jack Draper and Alex de Minaur lie on the opposite side of the draw, meaning that Medvedev is going to face a lower-seeded opponent in the semifinals, one of either Mensik or Cerundolo, neither of whom the Russian has had to face in the past. But the main point here is that Medvedev can count on only having to face one of these higher-seeded opponents if he is to make the finals. And that's the real question. Can Medvedev beat Jack Draper or Alex de Minaur in the finals of the Madrid Open? And the answer is a resounding yes, and here's why. The only match that Medvedev has ever played against Jack Draper was on clay, and it resulted in a straight sets victory for the Russian with a decisive score of 7-5, 6-4. But it gets tricky when it comes to de Minaur. Even though Medvedev leads the head-to-head overall, de Minaur has been victorious the past 2 times that they've played on clay, most recently annihilating Medvedev 6-2, 6-2 in straight sets at Monte Carlo. Although it looks grim for Medvedev, there is a way, and that way is Lorenzo Musetti saving the day. He leads the head-to-head against de Minaur 2-1 and won their most recent meeting on clay at Monte Carlo itself, where de Minaur was quite literally bageling his opponents left and right. By the time this video is uploaded, their match will have already been finished, but it is almost certain that Lorenzo Musetti will be able to overcome the Australian or at least give him a run for his money, enough to wear him out before a semifinal match with Jack Draper. And with this, the cards have never looked so good for Medvedev in, well, years. Ever since his loss to Sinner at the Australian Open Finals of 2024, he has been in a relentless slump and title drought. So, as the red dust settles and the matches intensify, one can only help but wonder, is the era of Clayvedev upon us? And the answer to this final question, at least according to the facts, is yes. Medvedev is certain to win the Madrid Open and quite possibly the Italian Open too, if it were not for the fact that a certain Italian is emerging from the shadows. As always, thank you for watching, and if you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, feel more than free to leave them down in the comment section below.